It's Ash from Super Videos, back for another video for Season 10 of The Walking Dead. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at a set of brand new pictures that they released from the bonus episodes of Season 10, the third half, also known as 10C. Now, I also will look at the pictures that we've talked about before because there's some links between them that I do want to mention, but there's actually a lot of pictures that they released. There's like 20 to 30 new ones that they have, so I don't want to waste any more time. Stay tuned, we'll be right back to break it all down. Alright, as always, if you're not a subscriber, consider subscribing to join our community. If you're enjoying the content, share and smash the like button, and don't forget to press the bell to be notified when we upload on the channel. Alright, so this is obviously the key art that they released. There's also an alternate key art that they had with a few more characters on it. I already did a video on that. I'm not going to talk about that again. But one thing I do want to mention that I forgot to mention in my other video is that it would have been better if they had some of the newer characters that we're going to see who may or may not necessarily be important characters in Season 11. Characters like Lucille herself, who's obviously Negan's wife, or characters like Leah, who's the female character that Daryl is going to run into most likely in the past, like it'll be a flashback. We're going to talk about her in a little bit, but also a character like Maze, who will be played by Robert Patrick, who's of course in the Aaron and Gabriel centric episode. So I thought that it would have been better if they included those characters in here as well. But it's a pretty awesome key art to get us excited for these bonus episodes. Now, before we actually dive into this, I will be using the YouTube Premiere feature on YouTube to upload this video, which means that it's gonna be as if we're doing a live, so you can actually interact with me on the chat. You can ask questions, you can talk to me about the things that I go through in this video, but obviously this video is pre-recorded, so it's not like I can actually answer your chat questions or anything like that. But you can interact with me on the chat throughout this video and also a few minutes after the video is done, assuming you're watching live, obviously. But with all of that said, let's dive right into it. Now, I've ordered these pictures as much as I could in terms of which are related, but obviously I don't know exactly how they're gonna relate or which ones are gonna be together, so it could be off. But the first one we're gonna look at is this picture of Maggie. It's a pretty awesome shot of her. Now, when I look at this picture, I think of this being a flashback only because Maggie in the current timeline, based on how we saw her at the end of Season 10, looks a little different. Her hair is a little shorter, not much shorter, but a little shorter, and her whole hairstyle is slightly different. So because of that, I'm leaning towards this being a picture from a scene that's most likely a flashback. I could obviously be wrong about that. But then we have this picture, which is from the current timeline of Judith and Maggie. Now, if you look at Maggie's hair, like I mentioned, it's a little shorter, and that's why I'm saying the previous one is probably a flashback. But this one's obviously right away when we saw Maggie. It's when she reunited with everyone in the woods at the end of Season 10 episode 16. So it's part of the same scene. But then we have this picture of Daryl and Kelly. They're fist bumping, which is kind of interesting. Obviously they're doing that because of COVID protocols that they're following, but because I've never seen Daryl actually fist bump anyone on the show. But what I did want to also mention is if we take a look at this picture, we have Daryl and Maggie, and this looks to also be around the same time when everyone's in the woods. And then after this, we have this shot of Elijah, who's the ninja character that was introduced, who came with Maggie and Kelly. Now, this gets me thinking, because we're seeing a lot of these pictures with Kelly, Daryl, and Maggie, and based on what they did with Connie at the end of last episode, I'm leaning towards them doing something along the lines of having things connect in a way where Kelly and Maggie could possibly talk about their sisters. Obviously, Maggie with Beth and Kelly with Connie. I could be off about this, but there's just something about the fact that we're seeing a lot of these pictures with Daryl and Kelly and Maggie and Daryl and everything leads me to think that there could be a storyline there. And then we have this picture of Daryl nothing to talk about there. And then this picture of everyone coming back to most likely either Alexandria or maybe even Hilltop. Like I said in my other video, they may take Maggie back to Hilltop so she could see the damage that's been done, but more realistically, they're just going back to Alexandria. But we obviously have Maggie, Elijah, Kelly all the way in the back. I'm sure Daryl is right around the corner there as well. And we have a new character behind Maggie and Elijah, who I'm assuming also came with them. And then we have this shot of Maggie with some walkers trying to get out from some sort of a building. Pretty cool shot of her. And then this shot, which we've talked about before, Maggie coming face to face with Negan. This is obviously from the scene where Maggie confronts Negan. We saw a little bit of this in the teaser and in the trailers that they released. So nothing much to say there. I'm sure that they're not going to want to release any pictures that reveal too much about their confrontation because it's such a big deal. But like I've talked about before, I'm leaning towards their encounter being interrupted by something. I could be wrong about that, but that's one of my bold predictions for these bonus episodes. Then we have this picture we've talked about before, Maggie, and then we have another character in the background, camouflaged. Now we've talked about how interesting it is for a character to be camouflaged on The Walking Dead because we've never seen it before. So I'm very interested to see what this is all about. And then we have this shot on Maggie. This could be from a flashback because like I said, Maggie's hairstyle is slightly different. And then we have this shot of Maggie and Daryl. This is most likely from the scene when Maggie tells Daryl about Herschel Jr. asking her about how his father died and whether the person that killed him got what he deserved. We heard a dialogue about that in the trailer, so I'm assuming that's where this is also coming from. And then we have this shot of Negan holding Lucille sitting on a chair, and then the current time Negan sitting by a fireplace. So obviously this is from the Negan hallucination scene where he sees himself. We saw that in the trailer as well, so it's a pretty cool shot to see in a picture. And then we have this shot, which is a flashback of Negan with his wife, Lucille. We've talked a lot about what we could possibly see in this bonus episode, which is a Negan-centric bonus episode called Here's Negan. So I'm not going to talk too much about that. And obviously, these last couple pictures, including this one, we've seen before and we've talked about before as well. But we have this new picture of Lucille, and this obviously looks like it could be from before the world fell. So it seems like we are in fact gonna see a little bit of Negan and Lucille's story before the world falls, and it's not just gonna be that we're gonna see them after the fall of society. So that's pretty cool. And then we have this pretty awesome shot of Negan. He's obviously giving blood, most likely giving it to Lucille, his wife, who obviously has cancer. And then this shot of Negan and Lucille. Again, this seems to be from earlier on, before the fall of society. But then we have this shot of Negan. It's a pretty awesome shot. He is wearing the goggles that we saw in this shot here. Those goggles are actually on his neck here. So that's interesting, but this is actually after the fall of society because there's a zombie there. And this connects to a shot that we saw in the trailer where Negan was fighting a walker and Lucille ended up shooting the walker and saving Negan. And that takes me to this shot right here of Lucille. This again seems to be much later after Lucille was diagnosed with cancer and she lost her hair and everything. And she's obviously got the IV stand for the chemotherapy medicine. This is a shot from the trailer as well. And then we have this shot of Negan and Carol. Like I said in my other video, it definitely seems like we're gonna get some new interactions between Carol and Negan, so that's gonna be awesome to see. We have this shot of Daryl and Carol from the Carol and Daryl centric episode, which is called Diverged. Then we have this shot of Carol. Not sure what she's doing. She's cutting some sort of a wire. Not exactly sure what exactly she's doing. And then we have this shot of Carol killing a walker. This shot of Carol and dog. This shot of Daryl and Carol. I absolutely love this one because Carol is smiling and she rarely does that. And then this shot of Daryl, Carol and dog. And then this shot of Daryl and Carol on the motorcycle. And then this shot of dog. And then this shot of dog and Carol. So a bunch of pictures of the three of them, which is very, very interesting to say the least. And then we have this shot of Carol cooking some food, maybe for Daryl. I know Carol and Daryl shippers are going crazy right now with these pictures. And then we have this shot of Jerry and Carol. We also have this shot of Daryl and Dog. Now, unlike the other pictures, this one looks to be from a flashback. And the reason I say that is because Daryl is wearing the same green poncho that he was wearing when we saw him back in season 9, during the time when Rick first disappeared. We obviously know we're gonna get an episode that's gonna be related to that, which is called Find Me. So I'm assuming that this is from that same episode, and this is a flashback of Daryl and Dog. That gets me to my next point. We could possibly see the first time Daryl finds Dog as well, because that was the time when he found Dog, right? Like during the time when Rick disappeared, or after it. So I wonder if they're actually gonna show us that storyline and how Daryl actually found Dog. But then we have this shot of Daryl going into a cabin, which we've talked about before, where he encounters this female character who will point a shotgun at him. And then we have this shot of the same female character whose name is Leah. And then this shot of her. And then this shot of her. Now, something I did notice is that it looks like we are going to be seeing some scenes from Leah in the past and some scenes from Leah in the current timeline. And the reason I say that is because her hairstyle, much like Maggie's hairstyle, changes slightly in these pictures. So that's extremely interesting. Now, I've heard some rumors. I don't want to talk about it in detail in this video because it is kind of like a spoiler / rumor, but I just happened to come across it on Twitter. But there could possibly be some sort of a storyline, a much bigger storyline between Leah and Daryl, one which we may not necessarily have expected. At least I didn't expect it. And it seems like Leah may have a bigger role than what I originally thought, which is extremely interesting. But then we have these shots of basically exactly where we left off season 10, at the end of season 10 episode 16, with Princess, King Ezekiel, Eugene, and Yumiko coming across a group of soldiers in all white gear who are obviously from the comics. They are from a community called Commonwealth. So here we have Princess being arrested by Commonwealth soldiers. And then this shot of Ezekiel inside one of the train carts that was around the area they were at. And this is most likely after he was arrested. We have talked about these two pictures before, so nothing new there. Then we have this shot of Gabriel and Aaron with a bunch of walkers around them. We've talked about this before as well, but like I've mentioned in other videos, there is a chance that there could be whispers amongst these walkers. Obviously, this is going to be the exact same episode where Maze is going to appear. Maze is the character Robert Patrick is going to play. Then we have this shot of Aaron and Gabriel together, this shot of Gabriel, this shot of Aaron and Gabriel, this shot of Aaron. This is a pretty cool shot of Aaron. His hand is all bloody. And then we have this shot of Gabriel inside some sort of a building. This is probably where they're going to encounter Maze. But then we have this shot, the last picture we're going to look at, which is of Gabriel and Aaron playing cards. Now, like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I will be using the YouTube Premiere feature on YouTube to upload this video, which means that I'm going to be able to interact with you guys on the chat as if this is a live, but obviously it's pre-recorded. So if you're watching live, you can use the chat on the side, ask any questions you may have about this video. I will stick around for probably a few minutes after, so you can ask your questions. But other than that, that's pretty much everything we're going to talk about in this video. If you're not a subscriber, consider subscribing to join our community. If you enjoyed the content, share and smash the like button, and press the bell to be notified when we upload on the channel. That's it for this video. See you next time for another super video.